Welcome into two ball guys on the right. You like the way I did that, huh? Two ball guys on the right.
It's all good.
And we try to do the podcast 2 times during the week. And so here we are on a Monday. We got lots of things to talk about. First thing to talk about, Joe Biden. I thought all this was going to be fixed. As soon as he came in the office, the unemployment rate, the jobless rate, gone. It fixed itself.
COVID, everything was supposed to fix itself, right?
And I forgot, and I didn't include this in our show, but he said as soon as he conquers the coronavirus, he's curing cancer. He's curing cancer. And I mean that's pretty boastful that you're going to cure cancer. But jobless rate, we added another. It looks like we're at 861,000 Americans without work as of February 13th. That's the jobless rate that came out. We added another 13,000 Americans. If we quit laying people off from the oil field and Keystone Pipeline, and we'd probably be in better shape with the jobless numbers. But thank you very much, Joe Biden, for continuing to worry about American jobs. We appreciate you. And then you're surprised when, the jobless rate goes up. Well, quit telling people that they can't do what they do for a living. Pretty easy.
That you just go into another industry. No big deal.
Nah, not a big deal. I am very sad tonight. I just got this information. Speaking of being laid off, it looks like CocaCola has laid off the 3 polar bears in the commercial because they're way too white.
I heard about that.
It's unbelievable. So Coca-Cola employees start having to take this training online about being too white. And to combat racism, we are doing some training, and some of the training is you have to confronting racism and understanding what it means to be white and the challenges what it means to be racist. So it's not enough that you are white. Now you have to take this course because they don't want you to be too arrogant. Wait, go through the list, Will. Less oppressive, less arrogant, less certain, less defensive, less ignorant. Oh, ignorant. We threw ignorant in there. Be more humble, listen, believe, break with apathy, and break the white solidarity. And I got to say, as I look at this and try to be less white, now this is Coca-Cola. They have their employees going through this whole thing. And, the whole idea of being less white is offensive as hell to me. And it should be offensive to every white person out there.
Honestly, it should be offensive to everybody of every color. Because it offends me if someone went to a black or Hispanic or an Asian person and said, "You know what? You're too ethnic. You need to be less ethnic." I would be offended as hell on their behalf.
Exactly. When's the last time solely white people, have gotten together and protested the shooting of a white person by police officers? When's the last time that's happened? I'll wait for you to come up with that.
No.
So I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think white people show solidarity at all because we're too damn busy doing the job of, raising a family and that type of stuff, going to work, trying to pay for the family. And so the whole idea of white solidarity, we ain't got that. We really do not have it. The whole idea of picking on one race is racist. No ifs and buts about it. It's racist. And I think the whole idea of, and you know who leaked this? An African-American guy that said, this is not right. If you want to see did I just say it wasn't white? It's not right.
No, you said it was not right, but I guess it is. It's if you're too white, it's not right.
Either. And look, we are getting to the point here in America where we are mixing, ethnic groups that one day we're not going to have to worry about this. No. But the biggest way to end racism is to stop talking about racism. every time I see African American first major goes in, I mean, as long as they're first CEO, black CEO, as long as they're good for the job, who gives a damn what color they are? See, I don't care, but evidently somebody cares. And we need to be less white. The whole idea is offensive as hell. And, I'm not one to boycott products because that's not in my DNA, but I'm a Pepsi guy now. Whenever I'm going to drink a drink, it's going to be Pepsi because Pepsi is not saying that people are too damn white. Since when are white people arrogant? I mean, look, I'm not picking on any racial groups out there.
Well, there's arrogant people of every race.
Of course there are. I mean, LeBron James, what an arrogant son of a gun.
Oh, no lie. Kanye West.
I'm serious. Arrogant, and we got to be less ignorant. Less ignorant, boy, that's offensive as hell. It really is. The whole idea of Coke doing this is offensive. And I'm not calling for you to boycott.
Like my ignorance or my arrogance has one single thing to do with the color of my skin.
No, let me tell you what this is about. Some people are not going to be happy until white people are, and it's already started, white people are on their knees talking about white privilege all the time. And when I think about white privilege, I think of my poor grandfather who emigrated here from France, and by the age of 55 had no, this is the way, now my hand is pretty much, he had no motion in his hands at that point from pulling up fishing nets his entire life. That's white privilege. The person in like West Virginia working in the coal mines, there are people that grew up in West Virginia that didn't even know what a pair of damn shoes are. Serious. They barely have clothes. I mean, you go back and look at those pictures, and it's like, yeah, that's white privilege. I'm sure it is. It's like saying that just because you're white, you've never suffered, and you've never been poor.
I'm sorry, there's not a ton of white people in trailer parks across the world.
Oh, thank you. I mean, would Eminem be included in that white trash?
He would have been. He would have been initially.
Yeah,
but then he came out of that. But so did a lot of people. That's the American dream. That's the whole idea, isn't it?
Exactly. And so it just kind of pisses me off that Coke is spending great money, and instead of investing in scholarships for people, for kids, you're going to spend money on sensitivity training about quit being so damn white. Next, what is Coke going to do?
How about Coke CEOs need some sensitivity training on what it means to be a damn racist by calling out white people?
Now, are they going to, the next thing, they're only going to hire certain ethnic groups? Because white people evidently are just the scorn of the earth. The whole thing pisses me off. And I would be the same thing. I'd be saying the same thing if it was about Hispanic people or black people. That
Absolutely.
We have to have sensitive. I mean, the whole thing, the whole idea is just racist. So do not purchase Coca-Cola racist product. And by the way, Coca-Cola, whether they have Gatorade, Sprite, Coke, the list goes on and on. And I hate to say it, but I think my favorite sweet tea is actually a Coca-Cola Gold Leaf tea. I think is a Coca-Cola product. So I'm going to have to find something else to drink.
No good.
After I finish this, because I was already open. But I think I'm going to have to get something else. Okay. Now, I don't know if you remember Garland, who President Biden is proposed to be his attorney general. Now, he was also an Obama pick. I think it was for Supreme Court. But he got by the Republicans. So he's going to be Biden's pick for the attorney general of the United States. And he went on to say at the hearings today that he would advance Biden's pro-gun control policies. But they talked, they pretty much put him in the corner today and asked him about would he be able to be the attorney general for all people. The next clip gets even more interesting because the lady who's going to be right there working side by side with him has said that black people are better than white people. But let's play the first clip.
assaults on federal property in places other than Washington, D.C., Portland, for instance, Seattle. Do you regard assaults on federal courthouses or other federal property as acts of domestic extremism, domestic terrorism?
Well, Senator, my own definition, which is about the same as the statutory definition, is the use of violence or threats of violence in an attempt to disrupt democratic processes. So an attack on a courthouse while in operation, trying to prevent judges from actually deciding cases, that plainly is domestic extremism, domestic terrorism. An attack simply on government property at night or any other kind of circumstances is a clear crime and a serious one and should be punished. I don't know enough about the facts of the example you're talking about, but that's where I draw the line. One is both are criminal, but one is a core attack on our democratic institution.
So what he went on to say is that if one happens at night, that's really not an attack. So we're getting back to the insurrection actually happened during the day. So that's to be treated different than the Black Lives Matters attack because it happened during the day.
Oh, I mean, there could be way more property damage, way more death, way more everything else in these riots in these other areas. But no, I mean, the tragedy of January 6th is a tragedy, and it should not have happened. But that being said, saying that these other things are less because they were at night is a bunch of hooey.
I mean, it's night and day. Come on, Will, it's night and day.
Oh, yeah.
He also he also went on to talk about Kristen Clark, who is going to be leading his civil rights department. And back in 1994, she co-authored a piece for the Harvard Crimson, which is the Harvard newspaper, where she talked about blacks being superior over every other race. Here we go back to the racial deal. And she said
black supremacy.
Black supremacy. That's a new word. That black infants sit up, stand, crawl, and walk sooner than white kids. And that blacks have greater mental, physical, and spiritual ability. So she's going to be running. She's going to be running the civil rights. And I wonder if everybody's civil rights are going to, with an attitude like that, I'm wondering if everybody's civil rights is going to be covered. And
clearly not.
So he actually defends her when questioned by Representative Mike Lee. And so here's cut number 2.
I'm not asking about her as a person. I'm asking about the statement. In the abstract, would someone who has made that comment, would that comment itself be relevant to the question whether that person, having made that statement, should be put in charge of running the Civil Rights Division?
All I can tell you is I've had many conversations with her about her views about that, about the Civil Rights Division, about what kind of matters she would investigate.
What about anti-Semitic comments? Would those be relevant to someone wanting to run
You
the Civil
know
Rights
my
Division?
views about anti-Semitism.
Right.
No one needs to question those.
I'm not
obviously.
questioning your views.
I know you're not, but I also want you to know I'm a pretty good judge of what an anti-Semite is, and I do not believe that she is an anti-Semite, and I do not believe she is discriminatory in any sense.
Oh, really? Well, her comments in the past, unless she's changed, kind of sounds like she's a little racist. I mean,
just a little.
You know, that blacks are more superior than white people in every way. I mean, she listed mental, physical, spiritual. She listed them all. So the Supreme Court came out today, and they have gone through every one of these voter fraud cases and thrown them all out. The president, former president, President 45, Donald J. Trump, was quite upset about the whole thing. But looks like Mike Kelly, representative from Pennsylvania, he challenged the victory, and that was thrown out. Supreme Court also threw out Pennsylvania, the case in Pennsylvania, that was thrown out. Lynn Wood against the Georgia Secretary of State, that was thrown out. The case in Arizona, Ward versus Jackson, that was thrown out. And I'm leaving one out. What was Powell? Her case was thrown out too. So they were all pretty much thrown out. Every one of them gone. But Clarence Thomas, who a lot of people say is probably the most conservative justice on the bench, came out and gave a little. Here's what he had to say about the whole thing. He said, this is not a prescription for confidence. He wrote on Monday, challenging the rules in the middle of the game is bad enough. That decision to rewrite the rules seems to have effect on few ballots change the outcome of the federal election. Now, he does talk about voter fraud, and he believes that there was something going on, but his vote was not enough to overturn the fraud in the elections. So we're back to square one. Joe Biden's going to be the president for the next 4 years. How much damage can this guy do? I watched an interview from him today, and I got to say, his mental ability is deteriorating every day. It's not good. It's gone. So I'm worried. I'm very worried that Kamala Harris will come in and be the president. I'm very scared. I'm very, very scared of that. I mean, let's take this case in point that Joe Biden talks about the vaccine. Last Tuesday, of course, they did the big town hall to talk about the stimulus. And by the way, this new and improved stimulus bill still has lots of stuff, including millions of dollars for mass transit in San Francisco, Nancy Pelosi's district, includes billions of dollars for money for foreign nations to get the coronavirus vaccine.
God.
And so they're packing this thing. And here we are. They're putting limits on who's going to get the money, American citizens. I'll just be the first to say, I would much rather Americans get the damn money than some foreign government. You know, if I had a little bit of hope that these foreign governments would actually, the money would go where it was supposed to, I would feel a little better. How much money do you think we send to Mexico every year? It's billions. Billions.
Oh, yeah.
How much money do you think actually goes to the right place?
Oh, very little. It's line in the pockets of the fat cats.
Yeah.
You know it is.
Under Biden, we're actually sending money to Venezuela, Guatemala, and Mexico to keep people from coming. We're paying them to keep people from coming over here. It's not working, but that's a whole different thing. But Joe Biden says we didn't have the vaccine when he took office, even though himself, he got his first vaccination, I think, back in December, and got the second vaccination before he became president. So he said that, and you remember that he also said we need to target 1 million vaccine doses a day. Remember that? And that's what Trump was actually doing. So here, let's roll the tape.
The biggest thing, though, as you remember, when you and I shouldn't say it that way, as you remember, but when you and I talked last, we talked about it's one thing to have the vaccine, which we didn't have when we came into office, but a vaccinator. How do you get the vaccine into someone's arm?
I think that would be called a syringe.
A syringe?
Vaccinator.
Yeah. The vaccinator.
The vaccinator. We would need the vaccinator to get
is
it.
That like, is that like a medical superhero? The vaccinator.
Yeah, the vaccinator. We definitely need the vaccinator. I'm like, I think that's called a syringe, Joe. I could be wrong. I mean, I got the first dose, and they used a needle and a syringe, and I didn't have the vaccinator. I mean, he acts like it's back in the day. Remember when you got the polio shot, and they actually, it had those little, it left that scar on your, I don't know if you have one, you're too damn young, Will, but it left that scar on your arm, and it had like a bunch of needles that would, I don't know if that's what he's thinking about, the vaccinator. So
he's something else.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about a whole bunch about Ted Cruz. Look, Ted Cruz came out and apologized, said he was wrong, said he felt guilty the moment he sat on the plane. He's out there helping people now. I said that it was bad optics, and people went, You're not a Republican anymore. Number one, I'm a conservative before I'm a Republican. That's number one. And I think we can all agree that when I talk about optics, I'm not talking about his physical looks. I'm talking about the looks. And I have studied political advertising now for 40-something years. And that game has changed too. Will, you can attest to this. They will take one snippet and turn it into a political advertising. And so
look, what you were saying was it's gonna make a harder road for him ahead.
It will,
because they're gonna turn and they're gonna use this against him in the future. That's all you were saying, and you got crucified for it. But but I understand a lot of people on the right are super sensitive because the left is constantly attacking us. Constantly
do I look like a member of the left? I host a show called Two Bald Guys on the Right.
But by the same standpoint, you have to be able to take criticism. You have to be able to acknowledge when something your own party doesn't do that's right. Hello, Mitch McConnell, you SOB. But or Liz Cheney. I mean, the list can go on and on about all the people I'm pissed off.
And
Mitt Romney.
I crucify these people every day. But I'm just saying the optics do not look good, and I can already see
I'm a Ted
hear
Cruz fan.
The commercial. Me too.
I'm a Ted Cruz fan. I am, but it didn't look good. Sorry, man.
No,
I mean, you should have thought of that beforehand. And these neighbors who shared their personal text,
sad.
They are lower than low.
It was an American Airlines or United that he flew on. They're trying to find out who leaked the information about his return flight. And I'm hoping Ted Cruz can bounce back from this. But let's remember, Texas is not as red as it used to be. Ted Cruz barely beat Beto O'Rourke by 1.8%. That's all I was trying to say, is the optics in a race that is super tight. And Ted Cruz needs independents to win that seat. And they're not as staunch Republicans. And they could go either way. They could really go there. Those are the votes that are, could be swayed one way or another. It didn't look good. That was my sole point. But go ahead and crucify me because, I've been crucified before. Believe me. I've been married before and I've been crucified in court before. That's all I got to say. AOC talks about the Green New Deal, saying Texas would not have the power outage if they would have signed on to the Green New Deal. The crazy thing is the infrastructure failures in Texas happened because of the green new energy. Serious. Leading up to the disaster in Texas, 25%, 42% of the energy came from wind energy and solar. Up until that, they were having a boom and wind and solar. And then, our home state of New Mexico, thank God that we still have a coal plant, because if not, we would have been in the same shape. So, AOC, more green energy would have been more people dying.
Look, green energy is great as an addition. But it doesn't take the place of these other technologies, unless you're going to go nuclear, or unless we're going to invent something completely new that produces clean energy on a scale of oil and gas. Wind and solar just don't cut it, and it's not. And I don't care how many windmills you have or how many solar plants you have, and those have been proven. They've been proven to have, and there's only so much they can ever produce. There's only so much sun and only so much wind you're ever going to be able to get power from.
I agree. And let me ask you this much. Biden sends generators to help with the recovery in Texas. What do the generators run on?
Wind or solar? Oh, no, it's gas.
Oh, no. Yeah, the whole idea. And, when we talk about the Keystone Pipeline that he destroyed in the first week of office, I'm reading a report, and it said it's not that they didn't have enough natural gas. It's because they switched to renewables. So the Keystone Pipeline could play a very integral part into making sure that never happens again if we continue to go on with these pipelines. The problem with that is, I don't know if it will. And so this is the picture here is when they were working on the pipeline, and it's gone. It's gone. So that's done. We've had 2 transgender stories in the news, and I don't know if I included this in, but I see you got the picture up. So here's a 40-year-old man that's playing college basketball on the women's side. Transgender, still has the junk in the trunk. And then there was a story out of the Netherlands that another transgender swept the women's competition for powerlifting. I got to think, and by the way, Joe Biden this week is supposed to be signing a law that you can't discriminate against transgenders. It's going to kill women's athletics. If I was a woman, I would be pissed.
Oh, yeah, so no more women's sports pretty much at all. It's because, look, if there's going to be that many, there's not that many transgenders that they can give them their own division. But if they're going to continue down this road, that's what they need to do if they're going to do something.
We're in trouble. Women's athletics is in big, big, big trouble. So the Democrats have come out with the idea of look. It's not enough that they've impeached him twice. They couldn't remove him, but they impeached him. Look, they don't want him ever being able to run for president. And supposedly next week, CPAC begins. You know who's going to be the guest speaker? Donald Trump. Now I'm wondering how that happens. When he runs in 2024, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube have all pretty much banned him. Well, is that really fair? If he's a political candidate, I know on radio we have to give equal time. So if they block this, I'm going to be interested to see if they, even though it's CPAC putting out the videos, if they're going to block him off of YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We'll see how that works. But the Democrats have going so far that they want to ban Trump from being buried in Arlington National Cemetery. Ban him. Twice impeached. They don't want him being buried in Arlington National Cemetery. So they're trying to pass a bill. The No Glory for Hate Act would ban Trump from ever being buried at Arlington. Look, I don't think it's a big problem that Trump wouldn't be able to find the money to get buried. I don't think that's the problem. But I think it's petty. And the guy's not in office anymore. Leave him the hell alone. Just let it go. Texas congressman. This is one of my favorite congresswomen in the world. Representative Sheila Jackson Lee of Texas. Is renewing the 30-year congressional push for reparations. And so they have formed this little committee that they're working on for reparations. And Sheila Jackson Lee goes on to talk about why black people deserve reparations. Here we go, Will.
For hidden in the corners of this nation are those of African-American heritage, the descendants of enslaved Africans who have felt the sting of disparities. They continue to feel that sting. Now more than ever, the facts and circumstances facing our nation demonstrate the importance of H.R. 40 and the necessity of placing our nation on the path to reparative justice.
Let me ask this question, because she said some really stupid things. She has. And I'm not picking on her because of color of skin. She's just not really that smart. I'm just going to be honest. She's really not that smart. When the civil rights, the nominee talked about blacks being smarter and physically stronger, and so they weren't talking about Sheila Jackson Lee. I'm just saying, it wasn't her. They weren't talking about her. But how did she become a congresswoman if things are so bad?
Good question.
How did she, if things are so bad and we need reparations, how did she become a congresswoman?
How did we ever have a black president?
How did we have a black president? How did we have the guy, golly, what's his name? Ben Carson?
Dr. Ben Carson?
How did he become a world leader, in neuroscience?
How do we have a black Supreme Court justice?
Oh, Clarence Thomas. Look, we will never have reparations in this country, and I'm going to tell you why. We don't have one living slave in this country. Not one. The slaves of this country are the people that get up every day and carry their ass to work. We are the slaves, and they continue to put more. Those guys. They continue to put more burden on us tax-wise than ever before. Serious. And so reparations are never going to work. What about the Irish descended people that came over here and were the first slaves? Look, they called them a cute little name. They called them indentured servants. But the same idea was they couldn't leave. They were servants in the house. They didn't get paid. There's not much difference to being a slave and an indentured servant. I'm just saying.
No.
But I don't think it's ever going to happen. California sends out the mail-in ballots. Well, don't worry about the graphic. So they've started with the mail-in ballots. We're pretty much done. California, now this is ahead of the 22 election. So California approved mail-in ballots last week, and so they spent millions of dollars getting that ready. And one more story, we don't have a graphic for it, but Biden unveils his plans to give 11 million illegal citizenship. And I always love when I hear the path to citizenship. Well, let me just say, we already have a path to citizenship. I am a husband of an immigrant that came to this country. We already have a path to citizenship. We already give green cards and a path to citizenship, but evidently cooking the books doesn't include those numbers. And it's not fair to every immigrant that came here the right way. Are you going to reimburse those people for the money that's been spent? Because at this point, I'm probably $8,000, $10,000 into it. I want my money back.
Of course not. You're not getting
my money back. So every person that did it the right way is so they're going to completely revamp. And look, I remember the last time we gave amnesty. That was under Ronald Reagan. We gave amnesty. 5 million illegals. Has it stopped the flow? Look, I would be willing to do it if it stopped the flow of people across the border. But under Biden, we haven't slowed down. We've actually ramped up because we have a catch and release program. They're not deporting anybody. In fact, to deport somebody, they got to get, or to arrest somebody, they got to get permission now. Border Patrol and ICE have to get permission from, I don't know who they call. I don't know if it's like the Biden hotline. Sir, we have Juan Frederick Jimenez. We would like to send him back home. Would that be okay, that we send Juan back home? No? Okay. Okay, I guess we'll release him on the streets. Look, he's going to need a place to live and food. Oh, okay. Don't worry about it. We'll provide that for him. Okay. So we're going to give him free housing and free food and medical. Okay. We'll make sure to let him know to suck the system for everything you can get. That's the way that discussion went.
By the way, all the American homeless are still homeless.
Yeah. We're not giving them anything. Our veterans that are living on the streets. Nothing.
Someone had said we should just have the homeless leave the country, come back in, and then they'll all be provided for.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we've got veterans that, gave blood, shed blood for this country, and they are treated worse than the illegals coming in. And look, I don't want to say anything disparaging about people trying to get into the country. And by the way, I've been called a racist. No. You've got that wrong. My household looks like the UN. I've got Mexican kids. I've got a Filipino wife now. I'm not a racist. I am a separatist. I believe that citizens should be granted all the good stuff. Serious. And that all the other stuff.
Well, there's perks for being a citizen. If there's not, then what's the point?
Well, it's becoming, they're thinning it out every day. They really are. They're watering
Well, because that's what they want. They want no borders and a one-world government.
Yep, that's exactly what they want. So, God bless them. And look, I can't tell you how important it is for us to stop the madness. Stop the madness. There's only one way to get to stop the madness. Number one, Republican Party needs to come up with a game plan. They need to come up with a game plan. They need to come up with talking points, and everybody sticks to the same talking points. That's the way to win election. And number four, and maybe that would be number two, is to make sure that no elections are stolen from us. See, the Democrats rolled out this plan in October, the mail-in votes. And they went state by state, systematically changing voting laws or voting rules, because many of them aren't laws. But in my humble opinion, the Republican Party didn't do enough to stop it.
Agreed.
And if we don't put the hammer down in this next election cycle, I hate to say it, if we don't do it, it's never going to stop. So we need more people working. We need more poll watchers. We need to make sure things are up on the up and up. And we need to defeat mail-in ballots in every one of these states. That's what we need. So can I count on you guys to go to work? Let's get her done.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Subscribe to the channel. We we need just a little bit more to get over the pinnacle peak of 1,000. That's the number we need, 1,000 subscribers. And what I've noticed, we have a lot of people viewing but not subscribing. So please take the time to set up your YouTube account and subscribe. There are benefits to subscribing. Yeah, if you would.
We would appreciate it. You get notifications, and it would help us. I mean, the benefits are really helping us. But there again, it allows us to continue to do this, because otherwise there's less and less voices on the right because we're all getting shut down.
Yep.
And so without you subscribing, show YouTube, that this is something that you want to continue to listen to.
So give YouTube the. I had something on my face.
Yeah.
Give them the finger by subscribing, if you would. God bless America. Anything else, Will?
No, I think that's it.
God bless. You can count on one thing. Joe Biden will give us plenty of material in the next 4 years. The coronavirus vaccine, we didn't even have it when I came into office.
Yeah, I don't know what. It just magically appeared.
Yeah, exactly. Even though I got both doses before I got in office, but we didn't have it. So God bless you guys.
Don't know what's up with that.
Yeah, great night, and don't forget to subscribe.
Subscribe, and don't forget, too, we're on all the podcast platforms. You can listen to the audio version, too. Two Bald Guys on the Right. We're out.